Would you like to show me quickly a homework, or just maybe you can ask if you had any questions or any confusion or uncertainty? So to clarify, you're gonna play with 3D wrist motion.
Yes.
With intonation, and that's it, or are you also gonna try to imagine every sound when you play?
I thought that intonation and imagination are cannot exist one without another. Or am I wrong?
Well, they can.
When I intonate, I actually imagine the sound.
Okay, so it's actually a very good question, so let's just clarify that. When you internally sing, you will feel obviously the pitch in your throat, and you will feel a singing effect in your sensations. But with sound imagination, it's more about a clear texture of the sound that you imagine, and right now we're just operating with a string group of instruments, right? From C up, it's violins, from C down, it's cellos. So it's a more clear and particular imagination of the texture of the pitch, where with intonation, we're just talking about intonating the pitch, and that's the difference.
When we imagine timbre, not just the pitch.
Exactly. Also important to differentiate these things about sound imagination and intonation, which are when you imagine the notes, you imagine them with sound movement in glissando, like one note gradually goes to another one. What intonation does, it adds a sensation of resistance and that vibrato that you get as a result, and that's the difference. You do not imagine the sounds with resistance.
I think I can do three things at once. So I can do movements, I can imagine, and I can intonate. So let me play exercise 26. I have already played this, but now I will play it with sound imagination, intonation, and correct movements.
I definitely like that. I could feel how you were feeling the touch and the next note, and hence you were controlling the sound. Very nice. Next. And when you practiced, you were taking those 4 bars and you were repeating a few times to navigate all your sensations in a much more exact and clear way.
I still, maybe it's because, well, yeah, I think I should have said this, but yes, because when I need to show this, maybe I have this little shaking sensation, uncertainty in my hands.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's a general anxiety in our mind when we show something to someone else, which obviously we will talk about later in the course.
We all know this. Дома было лучше.
Yeah, exactly. That's like when I was going to my professor in conservatory, we have always open lessons. So it's like we don't have a certain time, we will just come when we come, and we sit in the classroom and watch the professor teaching another student. And like 9 out of 10 would say, oh, my hands are a little bit cold today, and yeah, I played at home much better, you know. Yeah, and the professor did not take it well. He was like, stop complaining and play, you know. But obviously that's not the way to deal with it. But I'm very aware of this, that when I would show something to my teacher, I would lose maybe 50% of what I do at home. But even though, it was good. Did you have any questions about this?
I think so far no. So I just have the clear idea of what to do next, how to practice this.
Good. Could you show me a quick elbow motion and exercises?
Oh, yes.
Oh, very good. This is good. All right. So, we're ready to start our new topic today, yeah? So I'm going to talk about the posture and the arm weight, how to feel arm weight, how to feel it through singing, and how to transfer it to the keyboard when we play. Lots of things to cover. So, posture. So let's just discuss main elements of correct posture and why do they need to be that way. Let's talk about the bench, how high or how far you need to sit from the piano, away from the piano, in front of the piano.
Well, especially when we learn these new sensations of arm weight and correct posture, firstly we need to have our stool, our bench, high enough to be able to transfer the weight through arms to the keyboard. So if it's too low, our elbows is lower the surface of the keyboard, and so it's impossible to transfer without interruption this flow.
So it's aligned with the gravity, with the natural gravity.
Yes,
And
the gravity is the key. Yes.
And we're gonna transfer, so if your elbow is a bit too low, especially in the beginning when you want to grasp that sensation of arm weight, you will just feel a little bit more challenged because that weight will stuck in the lower part of your body, which is here, for example. Later, again, as soon as you get that actual feeling of arm weight, it doesn't really matter how high or low you sit. I mean, generally, just a general knowledge, it's much easier to play octaves or chords when you sit higher because of the angle of the hand. The higher your hand is, the easier it is to reach the octave or big intervals. You don't have to stretch it that much. If your hand is lower, you have to stretch more to reach the same octave. So for chords and octave texture, yes, it's definitely better to sit a bit higher.
But not too
other than
high.
that,
Yes.
well, not too high, yeah, but just you will feel where you feel like your hand are not stretching that much. Okay, what about the distance? But when you sit too far, you will have to naturally keep your torso more, in this like 30-degree position to reach the keyboard, and that will create tension in your lower back. So we want to escape any tension in our lower back. And the good way to sit is when the upper arm is right in the middle of your torso, and that's the way to check. It's not here, it's not there, it's in the middle. It's aligned with the middle of your torso, okay? Good. Well, since we were talking about lower back pain, what else can cause lower back pain in let's say, bad posture?
Maybe when our knees are too close to each other, so we just need to keep our legs relaxed. Maybe just like...
Okay, so when we feel tension, when we hold tension in our thighs, here, and when it's one reason, and another reason, if we try to keep our back straight, but we don't know the right way, so we're actually artificially just pushing the shoulders back and keep this one. I struggled. If you look at my maybe 7 years old performances. It's like I really have big pragip. I don't know how to say in English here. And then my ass is like...
Lordosis. Pragip.
Yeah. So, to avoid that, so let's come back to the back. So, what would be the right way to keep our back straight without hurting low back?
I remember this good advice. Just in the initial position, you sit like nobody sees you. Just feel relaxed. See how you...
So that means you sit a bit slouched.
Yes, a bit slouched.
You feel comfortable. Yes. You don't feel any tension in the back. Yes.
Yes. And then gently you just raising your head up, and this brings a natural activation of deep core muscles, and they just start to support your whole body.
Very good. Yeah. So you let the top of your head gently lead your back up. So you sit, relax, and then like from the top of your head someone is pulling you up, and look what's happening to your back. And I started, using this as well when I walk. So when I want to walk straight, I don't just put my shoulders back. I walk with relaxed back, but the top of my head is gently up, and that aligns the whole body, which is beautiful and works perfectly. Okay, so when we play, it's very efficient. Try not to move.
Yeah.
And keep
Staying
it steady.
Still.
Why?
Still.
There is actually 2 good benefits to it.
The first benefit, that's very, very good benefits. Well, when you practice every day, you just getting used to this position that you're in front of the piano is just the same position every day. So when you do the leaps, and you just muscle memory just remembers where to go. Just
it's so much
like
easier
this,
for muscles not to get confused about the distance. So the accuracy level, you just get it simply in a very easy and fast way. So it's beneficial for accuracy and
the next beneficial is you have this integrated. I like the word integrate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have this integrated posture, and when you play, you don't need so much effort to express the intonation through playing. So just relaxing, and you can.
And why? It helps to express your feelings in a more accurate way as well. So, for example, just imagine you are playing this interval, and you want to express so much. Now imagine that all the effort and energy that's supposed to go through here and directly affect just this part and trigger in exact way muscles to adjust the touch and time and energy to produce exactly the sound you want and exactly time. Now imagine that you're doing it together with the movement of your body. So the energy actually goes, now your body is expressing what you feel, not your fingers, not the touch. So, sometimes you can see the person is playing and he's moving so much, but you're like, I don't see music behind it. I don't feel it. It's because he has his intention are correct, but the way he is expressing it is in the wrong way. So in a way, it helps to not to splash out the energy and direct it in a very precise way to exactly a place which is connected to playing the piano, which are fingers and finger muscles. All right, so still torso, the top of the head, gently leading it upward. Good. What is happening with our arms and legs generally? We already mentioned that our legs, our thighs, is good to keep them a bit loose, because that will affect tension in the legs, will affect tension in the lower back. Okay, so loose legs, loose legs. What I also didn't mention in leg, many of pianists right now practicing with digital pianos. Now, the pedal in digital pianos is not always fixed like in grand pianos. And so, what I also from my own experience, I found if you not bringing your legs forward enough. So if my legs are more in this position, my pedal is somewhere here. So even if it's relaxed here, that angle create pressure, and you might start having trouble with your knee. You might start experiencing aching, just because you're not doing it. You're doing everything right, but it's just because of the angle is like that. So instead, try to move the pedal more forward, and so make sure that your leg is more in a natural, straight position when you play both of your legs, actually, because you're gonna use left pedal if you play on the grand piano at some point. So just keep it there. By default.
So generally, just straighten your hands,
straightening your legs under
straightening your legs.
That will help to avoid pain in the knee. Yeah. So
but,
that's
for me it's very great problem, because I have a pretty tall height. I don't know.
You're tall.
Yeah, I'm 196 centimeters, and when I stand.
Oh my God!
Yes, and when I sit in front of the grand piano, my knees is always just I don't know where I can get them. So just in my digital piano I don't have this problem, because my keyboard is pretty high, so my knee can go there. But on the 90% of all grand pianos and pianos, my knee is somewhere there. So just I have to do something like this, or just go. So just for tall pianists, I think it's a topic that is worth to be a separate topic. What to do tall pianists in front of piano.
Yeah, with the grand piano it's easy because the pedals in the grand piano are much deeper than upright or fixed digital. And so in this way I'm actually grateful that my pedal is mobile, so I can put it in any place I want. It's really helpful. And so even if you sit on the correct distance, you're able to lengthen your legs. And right now they're kind of coming out behind the keyboard, but this is where my pedal is, and so there's no pressure for the knee. What about arms?
We just need to make sure that we are not collapsing this torso. So
why would that happen in the first place?
When we relax,
when we slouched.
Yes, it's naturally. There's a tendency when yes. Igumnov said this nice metaphor. I just don't know how to say it in English. I know this new word armpit, but I don't know the air. Well, сквознячок под мышкой. So the air through the armpit, the air.
And Igumnov said that.
Igumnov, yes, it's his expression. And,
okay, so the draft under the armpit.
Draft under the armpit, just like air pillow, and you have this.
So that's important. Yes. What I also didn't mention in my book, and it's good that we discuss it now, is shoulders. I mean, I would say 2 students out of 3 would always say, my shoulders there is so much tension, what do I do? And so again, we want to include it in the whole system of posture. So what I suggest is that when we talk about that we need to have loose hands, as well as loose thighs and legs, we need to register where the arm actually starts. And if we really think about it, the arm can start almost from the back of your neck through your shoulder belt and like this. So it's almost like this is the length of my arm. So when we talk about loose arm, we include the shoulders. I was guilty so much, was holding so much tension. My shoulders were always all in knots, the muscles, and obviously rising shoulders, lifting shoulders up, especially when we're too emotional. Again, it's hard to deal with it if it's not in the system, and later we're going to talk about today how to include posture in actually a system of playing so you would not compromise musical or technical part, right? So let's clarify. So sit in a comfortable way, a little bit slouched. Gently bring the top of your head up. That also basically, actually, that will also eliminate this horrible look of pianists when they go like that, and then there is these things on top like that. I mean, it's not only, it's not good, okay? So when you bring the top of your head gently up, this will help you look like, you belong, just nice and straight. That's a very good example of how a healthy pianist should look like. Not just aesthetically pleasing, but also it also affects, it's not just for outside look, it's also how you feel inside, and you feel much more confident and in control when you sing like this, rather than that, Alright, so steady torso, gently up, and the last thing, make sure that the legs are lengthened, and it's all relaxed here, it's all relaxed there, and the arm starts from the back of your neck through your shoulders. Here we are. That's our question. That's it. So now on why and how can we integrate our favorite word, posture, into playing? So like I said before, we would not compromise. How many times you're playing and maybe the teacher will tell you, oh, sit straight or something like this, and you're losing phrasing, you're losing all the musicality that you want to express because all you focus now is the back, and you actually start playing worse, right? And when you start switching back to music, you start moving again because it's impossible. These two things are not connected in playing. So how do we connect these two?
Through intonation and weight.
Very well. Not even necessarily through even arm weight, because we have not even talked about this today, but even with starting with intonation, you can already connect it. But yes, eventually, yes, to arm weight as well. So when we sing with resistance and glissando, we also need to be physically aware of sensations in our posture, And when we play, we intonate, but at the same time, we feel interoception, right? How the sensations inside our body.
And interestingly, that the voice, the timbre of the voice is changing. It's become more deeper. Well, there's also yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, if we have this a little background tension, we lose this energy. We spend this energy to maintain our posture, and that's why we start to constrain our vocal cords and more deep.
Yes, more kind of, what is the word? Yeah, it is, but it also comes from this stability that the posture brings. And this also kind of safe place of knowing how to control your posture mindfully rather than with compulsive tension, yeah? Yeah,
you
right.
have this. You have this apora.
Exactly, that's the word I'm looking in English. But what would be the word?
I just went to Google Translate now, and
it's like you're resting on something, yeah?
Resting, yes, resting. Well, Google Translate says the word support, but
I think rest support would be the closest one to that.
resting and support. We have this support by this. Our bones supported this. Our pelvis, our torso, our deep abdomen muscles that cannot constrain with conscious. Well, I thought about this today's topic, and I just want to say that I know that we have receptors in our muscles that helping us to control consciously, but this deeper level of muscles, they are not able to control consciously because they don't actually have these receptors. They just are able to be affected by pressure and gravity. So they react to pressure, to gradual pressure. I have one friend of mine who is fitness trainer. He told me that yes, this is true. We can affect this deeper level by very slow pressure. Slow pressure. I remember Elisa Safarova told me, try to very, very slow start to, I don't know how to say, squeeze, no,
Squeeze.
okay, squeeze your wrist, but very slow, with sensation like you dive into, maybe it's just like sound texture, like going deep into this sinking effect, and you start to feel that how your spine is start to react to this. Not fast, because when we do fast, our reaction would be immediate, and the effect will not be perceived. But if we do it very, very slow, but gradual and in constant speed, we can just affect those level. And that's why it's important to feel these sit bones, because they, what are they do? They just support by this constant pressure from the floor, from the bench, and our back is natural getting to respond to this. I remember this exercise she told me, just with squeezing your fist, very, very, very slow, with feeling like just squeeze your fist kindly. It's very connected to emotional world, this tonus, muscle tonus. Fix with feeling emotion of kindness. Well, yes.
Yeah, it reminds me of how I make my stretches and exercises, because it's so boring to me just to exercise. So I would just imagine that each movement, like from right to left, is my intonation, and the distance to which I move is it's my note. And sometimes I would do it in G major, forte, piano, you know. And I would really
I tried this too.
And that would put
Yes.
such a I could really feel how that changes the whole work of my muscles. I feel like they work in a much less stressful way, in a more natural way.
I just want to say that if this is true, then that's why it's very cool to have a teacher who is not a superman, who has not superpowers, because he went through this and he know all the pain. He went through this and he accomplished. He won the battle, and now he can show you.
I definitely have huge compassion, yes, and also knowledge that, or not knowledge, it gives me compassion, but also certainly that what I teach will help, because it helped me. So these two things, yeah.
As you know, the Japanese word sensei is built of two signs, and the first is previous, sen, previous. So sei is life. So the person who lives before you and know the path. and now he can show you the path. That's why he is tensei. The person who lives before you and knows the path.
And here's the apora.
Apora.
Rest
yes.
and support.
Support.
Yeah.